So here's the fretboard ready to go. It's just a piece of rosewood. It's the top part of my neck timber there. So I've mounted it down onto the table. I've got an extra hold down clamp here, just due to the length, and it's going to cut to about here. So the fretboards will fit in between this section here. I'm just going to rough it out initially, and then the finished cut will actually cut down to the table with the two retaining tabs staying at both ends. And I'm going to cut the width of my sanding block so that I can put it in between the two, between these two bits of timber here, and sand off the top of the fretboard when I glue in the pearl dots, and just to finish off the surface of the fretboard. Just finish the rough cut. I'll get the vacuum cleaner in here and just clean that out. The next one I'll do is a parallel finish. So we'll just go up and down 1,000 times. Well, what seems like 1,000 times, until it's nice and smooth. So I'll clean up the mess. We'll change over bits, and we'll keep going. Just starting the parallel finish. It runs along the top, then it'll drop down in a minute, and then it'll make its way across the fretboard. Past the halfway point. Next I'll do the dot holes and we'll do the frets, I guess, the fret spots. This milling path will consist of the dots, and then I'm going to trace around the outside. I probably should have done that before doing the parallel finishing. That would have cleared the edges and made it nice and tidy. Probably prevented any splintering in the corners, as it would have been already cleared out. So maybe if I do another one, I'll do that next time. Okay, so I've just grabbed one of the pearl inlays. I've had to increase the size of that hole to 6.2 millimeters for it to fit. I pressed it in earlier. I had to flick it out with a knife, so we won't press it in again. But yeah, it just fits in there nicely. So I'll do all these others at 6.2, and then I guess I'll do the fret slots next. I was contemplating painting it first, and then doing the fret slots, and then just touching up the ends after the top is painted. And then I could mill the fret slots into the paint. That way I guess they won't fill up with paint. And then once I've done that, I could break it free from the tabs here, or cut it free just using the CNC machine to cut it free, and then finish off the sides. Undecided as to what process I should follow at the minute. What I'm doing here is doing two cuts side by side. One is 0.09 of a millimeter over, just to make it the correct width. It's a 0.5 millimeter bit, and my understanding is you need to mill or cut generally a 0.59 millimeter slot. So it's two very close slots side by side. Just going to try some experiments with this fretboard. Gave it just a quick lick of paint sealer just to see what would happen. Just an oil-based paint sealer. Probably needs a few more. What I'm thinking, I've glued in a single pearl there. Now, because it's a flat milled hole at the base of it, it obviously is pretty much almost level with the surface at this end, but sticks up quite high at this end because it's flat. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to ask my CNC machine with the tiniest bit that I've got to just track its way across and slowly mill down the pearl dot. So I've glued that in tonight. We'll let that dry, and we'll give that a mill sometime shortly. And we'll see if it's possible to essentially paint up the board. This is what I'm thinking. I don't know if it's possible, but we'll give it a go. Painting up the fretboard black, get it all nice and clean. Then perhaps mill out where the dots go again, because paint does get in there. And then glue the dots in. And then have the CNC machine just mill the top of the surface of the pearl dot. I've got no idea. I'm just experimenting as I go, so we'll see what happens.